How's it going, everybody? My cup of tea here, back to a reaction video, and today we're here to check out a new face on this channel. Yay, yay. Well, it's not really new, but... So today we're going to be checking out a content creator called Nasu. I think I said that right. Now, I watched a couple of his videos in the past before, like off camera, like on my own time. But today I want to check out his newest video because I feel like this is like the perfect time, and that is the absolute state of anime video games. Now, if you are a anime fighting game fan, whatever, you know Sparking Zero is coming out October 11th. I'm very excited for that. And a new Bleach game got announced, I think, a few days ago, which I hopefully is great. I'm still gonna wait for gameplay, but so far, like graphic-wise, it looks kind of okay. It looks cool. But the gameplay is the most critical part. Like, I need to see more about that. But if you have played some anime games, you know that some of them be kind of, you know, hard to play, especially if they're a fighting game. But we gonna stop talking. Let's let Nasu talk about it, because I feel like I know what this might be about, because he said, nah, I'll refund the thumbnail. So yeah, let's start this. All right, let's get it.
Longtime viewers of this channel might know that I do in fact enjoy video games. I'm also an anime fan.
Video games are nice.
Derogatory.
Same.
So naturally, games that let me play as my favorite
Derogatory.
anime characters are something that appeal to me and people
What's
like
that?
me.
That class
Media
in-
based
no,
on
no,
existing
class in
media
Ninja.
is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Be it films based on comic books, shows based on video games, or video games based on novels. Creating something new for an existing IP comes with the benefit of having an established audience ready to eat up
Right,
whatever you
right.
cook. Yo, that's the guy from the thing that I like. I need that.
I
And with the
need
massive
that.
rise in popularity of both anime and
X
video
Family,
games
still need
over
to
the
watch
past
that.
couple decades,
Elden
anime
Ring.
games seem like such an easy recipe for success. So why are the games so dog shit?
That's what I'm trying to figure out too. Yeah, the new Jujutsu Kaisen game. Yeah, I wasn't
I want
touching
to point
that.
out that when I say anime games, I'm specifically referring
That's
to
what I'm
games
waiting
based
for.
on anime and manga, not those that simply have an anime aesthetic like Dragon Quest or Persona.
yeah.
Now with that in mind,
Totally different.
when you hear anime game, what kind of video game do you picture?
Arena fighter, always arena fighter. It's just like I feel like we need more RPG type anime games, like Kakarot. Just, you know, more in there, because they're always like fighting games or like a mobile game. I'm like, stop it, no.
A visual novel? Pachinko
that too,
machine?
yeah, visual novels.
Maybe a mobile gacha game. If you said anything other than a 3D fighter with a massive open arena and combos that look like this,
Yeah,
then you're a damn liar.
B button.
That or you're in too deep, bro. I
Yeah.
don't know what to tell you.
I'm
Arena
not that
fighters
deep
are a
in it.
subgenre of fighting games that
Dirt
are
and
almost
blood.
inseparable from anime. Every major shonen title already has a game in the genre, and if it doesn't, just give it some time.
He was showing Storm gameplay. Storm 1, I think. I could be wrong.
The ubiquity of arena fighters already has a game in the genre, and if it doesn't, just give it some time.
Oh, okay. Chainsaw Man. There's not gonna be a chainsaw game. Nah.
The ubiquity
Nah.
of arena fighters can largely be attributed to the near monopoly that a certain company has on video game licenses of Shonen Jump series. That company being Bandai Namco. If your favorite anime got a game announced and you see this in the first 5 seconds of the trailer, just pack it up, bro. It's over.
That's just Dragon Ball
For a while
Naruto.
now, it seems like every new anime
Those are the only
game
two
is the same
exceptions.
formulaic, shallow, button-mashy
More
fighter
Dragon Ball.
that we've seen a
More
dozen
Dragon
times
Ball.
before. But the massive rise in the number of arena fighters is something that happened over the past decade or so, and Bandai has been putting out licensed games since the 80s. A shift happened at some point in time, and I want to take a look at the two largest anime series when it comes to video games.
Yep, say it
Two
too.
series with very different beginnings that still ended up in the same place.
You know, it's
Two
Dragon Ball and
series that I
Naruto.
love, but they still need to answer for their sins.
What sins
Dragon
did
Ball is
Dragon
an
Ball do?
international multimedia
What
juggernaut
did Dragon Ball
with
do?
unrivaled ability to push merchandise. We got everything from Dragon Ball Funko Pops to Dragon Ball toilet paper.
I didn't know about
Maybe
that.
those two things aren't too dissimilar. It's no surprise that over the years,
Ooh,
the franchise
check.
has amassed a large
Oh, it's Burst
catalog of
Limit.
video games.
Ooh, this minigame. Budokai won that minigame. I'm going to regret having to play this again because I'm going to prepare myself for Sparking Zero. But this minigame right here is probably the hardest minigame in all of Budokai. In all of Dragon Ball. Just like my palms hurt just looking at it. My palms hurt just looking at this.
Some good, some bad, but none quite as abundant as those that fall under the 3D arena fighter umbrella.
Hey,
a lot of
Budokai
these
Tenkaichi,
games
great.
play incredibly similar to one another. See, we gotta travel further back in time to see the really innovative and original games. The first Dragon Ball game was a 1986 Japan-only release for the short-lived Super Cassette Vision. It's a shoot 'em up that features Goku on the flying Nimbus
Interesting.
shooting. Hold up, wait. This is just Space Invaders. It's literally just Space Invaders. Luckily, the next Dragon Ball game introduces some fresh ideas. Dragonball Shenron no Nasu dropped later the same year for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a top-down adventure game.
I saw a little bit of gameplay of this.
Pause. This is just Zelda. They just copied Zelda. Now, the keen observer might have noticed a pattern.
Shut up, Nasu.
Modern anime games may be uninspired or formulaic, but the category has never really been a breeding ground for creativity. Licensed games, by their very nature, inspire imitation rather than innovation. These aren't games being made because somebody had a great idea. They're products made to tap into audiences of popular franchises. The selling point
I know
is
One Piece
the
had like
IP,
that turn-based game,
underneath
but I
the
don't think it
shiny
was
exterior.
like
In that
crazy.
regard, licensed games are not too dissimilar to products that are more traditionally considered to be merch. It's like McDonald's recent trend of attaching celebrity names to existing menu items and calling it something new.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I like some of the Travis songs, but what the fuck does he know about hamburgers? Mom, can we get Mario Party? No, honey, first-party Nintendo games are expensive as shit.
Well, there's that. Okay, well, I guess I could talk a little bit. Yeah, the McDonald's, like, celebrity burger meals, whatever, I'm like, what's different? You just get more, like, it's still McDonald's. Like, nothing changes. The BTS meal, I think it was like a Megan Thee Stallion McDonald's. No, Ice Spice, I think it was. I don't know. I never got them. I'm like, why? What? Is it just a pricier meal because the celebrities attached to the meal? I don't get it. But, yeah, anime games. Budokai, like, Dragon Ball has some stinkers. Quite a few stinkers, but there's one game I hope he does not mention because I feel like people just overhate it, and it's really not that bad. It's not that bad, but I don't think it's gonna say it. I don't think it's gonna say it. And we're back.
Oh, honey, first-party Nintendo games are expensive as shit.
They are.
We have Mario Party at home.
There's a One Piece Mario Party game. I know there's a Demon Slayer one, but wow.
This game sucks, by the way. Applying
I'm
an
gonna
anime spin to a proven formula
on
makes far more sense from a business standpoint than experimenting with a new concept. It doesn't matter that nothing about Dragon Ball lends itself to the shoot-'em-up genre. Space Invaders is one of the most successful arcade games ever made. The Legend of Zelda kicked off one of Nintendo's flagship series. Even Dragon Ball's transition to fighting games and its first arcade release only came after the wildly influential Street Fighter II in 1996. That same year, home consoles would also get a DBZ fighter with the first game in the Super Butoden series. From this point on, most Dragon Ball games would be fighters. The series would have its first 3D game on the PlayStation, which would be followed by the first Budokai. It would finally make the jump from 3D fighting game to full-on arena fighter with the birth of the Tenkaichi series in 2005, which would set the tone for all future games. Over time, anime games stopped borrowing from popular titles and instead started borrowing from themselves. Bandai Namco would continue releasing games in that same.
This was a disappointment. I mean, I played a lot of this Jump Star Victory, I think it was, when I first got it. But looking back on it, I'm like, man, so much missed potential. So many assist characters.
So they established a blueprint for future titles to follow. The Naruto games are different from Dragon Ball in that it took a bit longer for Bamco to get their nasty-ass hands on exclusive licensing rights. The first home console Naruto game was Clash of Ninja in 2003, a 3D fighting game for the GameCube published by Tomy and developed by A-Team. I want to take a moment to identify what differentiates a 3D fighting game from a full-on arena fighter. 3D fighters like Tekken and Virtual Fighter play relatively similar to their 2D counterparts. You can move forward, backward, and the introduction of the third dimension gives you the option to strafe left and right. You're still locked into always facing your opponent, and the camera is always the same distance from both players. This means that the camera gives us a side profile of the characters, whereas in arena fighters you'll mostly be looking at back shots. The concept of moving forward and backwards doesn't really exist in arena fighters because of the less grounded movement. This means that the stages are typically much larger and moves are given heavy tracking to compensate. As a rule of thumb, if you can turn your back to the opponent, it's probably an arena fighter. At a glance, Clash of Ninja might not seem too different from your average arena brawler, but it actually has a lot of depth, with a healthy dose of unbalanced shenanigans.
I don't think I played this one.
Later installments make frequent appearances at major fighting game tournaments. It's not something that you'll see on the EVO main stage, but it's got an active competitive scene, and is by far the Naruto game with the most competitive merit. The combo system, while simple, leaves a ton of room for skill expression. If you drop a combo, you can drop combos by the way, be ready to eat a fat punish, because whiff punishing is a concept that actually exists in this game. There's a lot more to the game than just mindless button mashing, was that cracked. You can also just mash the light attack button. It works. The game is as deep as you want it to be, which makes it a great game for both casuals and the sweaty O2er at your locals. The same year that Clash of Ninja first dropped, Bandai and CyberConnect 2 were cooking up something different on the PlayStation 2. The first Ultimate Ninja is what I can only describe as a 2D arena fighter. It has the freedom of movement you'd expect of the genre, but also the depth of combat or lack thereof that it's known for. You can clearly see the DNA of what would eventually become the Storm series. It's, for all intents and purposes, a party game, but I don't mean that in a derogatory fashion.
This
it's a ton of fun just mashing buttons and watching your character do cool shit, which is the strongest aspect of
I gotta play this game again. Wait a minute.
The presentation. These cel-shaded character models look damn good for 03, especially the heavy use of hatching that's reminiscent of Kishimoto's art style. CC2 had a very different approach from 18, which gave the series a unique charm. Sir, a third company has developed a Naruto game.
Wait, Ubisoft made? What did they make?
In 07, Ubisoft of all companies stepped into the ring and released Naruto Rise of a Ninja, exclusive to the Xbox 360.
I didn't even know it was Ubisoft. I like Broken Bond better. Oh, no, that's right, yes. The Naruto RPG game too that wasn't Chronicles. Rise of the Ninja, Broken. Okay, Ubisoft. Back when Ubisoft was, beloved. Not where they're at right now, where like, ooh, Ubisoft game? Ugh. I'm gonna wait on that.
The combat was very unique in that it kinda sucked. It's the worst aspects of the GameCube games combined with the worst aspect of the PlayStation games.
But I liked it though.
Truly baffling design decisions.
Yeah, that was weird. Listen. I still like the game though. I still like the game.
But it more than made up for it with its story mode. The Ubisoft titles have the best free roam of any Naruto game, with the level of interactivity and freedom of exploration.
Playing a game, he was hitting the hand side juice on the little kid.
Naruto fans were eating good in the late 2000s. Each home console had a different series being created by different publishers and developers, all bringing their own unique take on what a Naruto game should be.
Yeah, give it a
Ubisoft delivered a strong single-player action-adventure experience because that's what they were good at. 18 leaned heavily on their experience developing the Bloody Roar series, and that's reflected in how the Clash of Ninja games played. While CyberConnect 2 didn't have a massive catalog prior to becoming Bandai's main bitch, they quickly built a name for themselves on the strength of their hype boss battles and striking visuals. Every company brought its own special sauce, and the three games lived in harmony. Then everything changed when Ultimate Ninja Storm 2 attacked.
I mean, I still love this game too. Look at that, come on now, come on.
Storm 2 was the first Naruto game to be cross-platform. In 2010, Bandai Namco gained exclusive licensing rights to the Naruto games, killing the Nintendo and Microsoft series. And so, the game started to homogenize. Storm 2 is not a bad game. In fact, it's my favorite in the series, but it marked a major turning point for anime games. The jump to 3D in Storm 1 was the biggest change made by CC2, but they've been making steady improvements with each installment. Ultimate Ninja 2 nearly tripled the roster and let you free roam around the world to a limited degree. 3 greatly expanded the village and your ability to explore. 4 and 5 took this to the next level and added a separate combat system unique to the story mode. Storm established the definitive arena fighter blueprint and also had the best free roam that the series would ever see.
That was
Storm
nice.
2
I played
would walk back that freedom of exploration and adopt a fixed camera angle, narrow pathway kind of approach. The boss battles go crazy though. The same can't be said for the next game, Storm Generations, which doesn't have a traditional.
It wasn't bad. It was like coming from 2. Where's the story at? What are we doing here? I'm not exploring the world. What is this? Oh god, he's gonna mention Revolution, isn't he? He's gonna mention Revolution. Oh, don't mention that trash.
Story mode. Instead mashes together content from Storm 1 and Storm 2 into an assortment of still shots from the anime and regular CPU matches. Then Storm 3 had a proper campaign, but would remove a combo from literally every single character in the game. Combos in this game are performed by mashing the attack button and holding a direction. All existing characters would have their side combo dropped. I can only assume this was to reduce the work needed to add new characters, as CC2 never acknowledged the change. Storm Revolutions once again dropped story mode, replaced it with a mode everyone hated, and split every character's moveset into 3. Storm 4. Story mode is back, albeit with a heavy reliance on anime slideshows. Storm Connections, and I hope you're seeing a pattern here, recycles a fraction of the battles from all the previous games, which is neatly tied together with more anime slideshows. Characters once again had a unique attack taken out of their moveset.
I know people like Connections. Some people like Connections. I don't.
Presented as a new addition.
I wasn't gonna get
this. Storm games are a never-ending cycle of taking one step forward and 2 steps back. But despite these shortcomings, it's still one of the best-selling fighting game series of all time.
Really? It's number 5? I don't believe that. I mean, no, it kind of makes sense, but we got Mortal Kombat, Super Smash Bros. Makes sense, Tekken, Street Fighter, Naruto Soul Calibur. Wow, I thought it was gonna be much lower. Okay, I thought like Marvel versus. No, there's not a new Marvel versus Capcom game. That makes sense. That makes sense. Hey, where's Dragon Ball? Why isn't Dragon Ball in here? Does it not count? I thought Dragon Ball was like way higher. Because Fighters is popular. Xenoverse is still popular, I think. Interesting. Okay. Okay, interesting.
And for better or worse, laid the groundwork for modern anime games.
It definitely did.
Started by imitating successful titles. They then innovated on the games that did work and that Bandai didn't kill, creating a blueprint that they would then iterate and apply to other series.
I like the minigame ones
fucked
there.
up kind of video game inbreeding. Instead of taking inspiration from standout hits of the media, anime games are now built on the backs of other anime games.
Yep.
Which is ironic given that the anime industry went through something similar over the years, progressively getting more self-referential and leading to a homogenization of art styles and the oversaturation of genres like isekai.
The isekai trend back in the day was not trend, but like anime is just like, oh my gosh.
To a homogenization of art styles.
Like, oh my gosh, they all look the same. It all started with this man right here. Kirito started with you. You call these people these no. You call these generic people. I don't know if they're all generic, but golly. It's like, I like some isekais, but dang. I think it was like 8 isekai. I mean, it's still kind of like that, but I think there's more like better isekais being animated nowadays. But back then, ooh, they were just such an anything. Ooh. You might find 1 or 2 good isekai animes a season back in the day. And I don't know anybody besides this man. Let me look. Nah, I can't. Nah, they just all look the same. The same hairstyle. Golly.
Miyazaki was right. Having a blueprint can greatly reduce cost in development cycles. It's why anime games started with reskins of popular arcade games, and why we still get so many sequels, reboots, and recycled content. It's far easier for Banco to point to the most successful game series of that type and go, see that? Make more of that, copying both the good and the bad. Mostly the bad. The trademark anime still shot slideshow is almost a guarantee in every
I don't
game.
like that.
While CyberConnect 2 has nearly perfected the 3D anime look, other developers just can't seem to match the same level of quality.
I will say, I feel like more developers should maybe try to copy a little bit of the Sparking Zero, Budokai Tenkaichi side of things in terms of combat, because I'm like, in those types of games, you're not just pressing one button, and it's not just like simple. I don't know, just like, I just hate how they all look and play the same almost, just like mash a button. I don't know, it was just weird. It's just weird to me. But I feel like Naruto definitely has that type of fighting arena fighter. They got that down. That's their lane.
And feature character models that look several
everything else is
generations
just like,
old. CC2 releases consistently deliver on the visuals, but struggle to provide enough content to justify the $60 price tag. Storm fans are so used to them cutting out content, they were speculating on what would be removed from the newest game before it was even out. Storm Connections is a mishmash of recycled content delivered to us in a worse package and a sad end to the series. Just 1 month after its release, its Steam player count dipped below that of the last entry, and it never recovered. Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash is the final game in the human centipede that is Banco licensed titles, taking all the shitty elements of past games with none of the redeeming qualities. Once past the title screen, greeted by a main menu that sets the tone for the rest of the game. A top bar with all the mode options, and then the background is just the Season 1 anime openings playing on repeat. Did I mention that this game is $60?
You did.
Oh, nice. It has a story mode. I sure hope it's not a slideshow of
You know it was a slideshow. We all know it was a slideshow.
If it wasn't apparent from the enormous stages and character models that only Yamada could love, this is another arena fighter. But even by arena fighter standards, these stages are incredibly large, and the visuals exceptionally ugly. The former can be explained by the game being built for 2v2. The unique gameplay gimmick is that you don't have much in the way of combos, but have 2 different types of attacks. Basic hits that just knock the opponent back and build meter, and curse techniques that consume meter to deal actual damage.
It's a pretty cool
bit similar to the combat system in Dissidia, but unlike Dissidia, it's just not fun. The 2 attack types are meant to emulate the source material, where cursed spirits can only be exercised by using cursed energy. Carrying that over to the game sounds good in concept, but feels terrible to actually play. Some of y'all might not want to hear this, but I think another major problem with anime games is that 50% of them just should not exist. Not every anime needs a video game. A perfect example being the One Punch Man game.
Okay, for One Punch Man, I feel like the fighting game route was a horrible way to go. Because I'm like, well, you gotta have Saitama in the game, it's a fighting game. And they have him in the game, but it's like you gotta wait for him to come in, like to show up. And once he shows up after you wait a certain amount of time, he just one-shots enemies. It's like, and also it's an arena fighter too, as you're gonna see here. But yeah, nah, an RPG. I know they have like a, what's it? It's like a phone game for One Punch Man, right? Like a gacha game, I think, coming out or maybe already out. But can we just get like an RPG, just a story mode? I don't know, like come on, use your brains. Like, let's get creative with this. It's anime. Get creative with this. Look at Dragon Ball Z. They over here dropped a DVD-like game. Well, not DVD-like, but it's like you gotta hide around, hide from a villain as you try to escape as you're humans. They could drop a 2D fighter, not an arena fighter, 2D fighter. They dropped some RPG game, Kakarot. They drop an arena fighter. They're dropping a card game. They dropped a card game. Some MOBAs, like, I mean, not MOBAs. Gachas too. It's like they're doing everything. Come on, anime games. Dude, be a little creative. I don't know, like, man, I'm tired of arena fighters. Jeez.
Not every anime needs a
Hunter x Hunter is like a different type of game. It looks like
One Punch Man game. One Punch Man is a
that.
comedy action show about a guy who one-shots anything and everything, more or less. For that reason, the stakes are never high.
But
the likability of the characters and incredible animation still makes it compelling.
Yes.
Now, what part of that would make for a fun game? None of it.
Not a
I don't want to play
game.
that shit.
Not a fighting game.
Nobody else wants to either.
Dang.
JJK is another anime that I think really doesn't need a video game.
Not so soon.
Techniques and especially domain expansions don't translate well to gameplay. Non-combat abilities like Todo's are interesting because we get to see the strategic ways in which he uses it to outsmart his opponents. There's only so much creativity you can give to a player with such a simple yet boundless technique.
Story mode action game would have been nice.
How do you faithfully create a moveset for a character whose ability is to literally talk at you?
You should kill yourself.
Huh. That might actually work. Curse Clash is a game.
Maybe a turn-based game might work for JJK. Turn-based games could work for most
only lets you
action
queue
games.
for 2v2. Attacks
Games.
knock you down for an eternity, so your teammate can capitalize on the opening.
Because they can focus on the visuals, like I think Fairy Tail has one, but I didn't look into it. But I think fighting games, I think turn-based anime games should happen more because they can focus more on visuals instead of like the combat side of things. I'd be hyped for that. I'd be dope for that.
Attacks knock you down for an eternity, so your teammate can capitalize on the opening. But if you're playing with a random who doesn't care much for teamwork, the fights feel incredibly slow and
he's definitely played a game then.
Thing is, I get the decision to make this game.
He's playing from experience.
This is Jujutsu. Let him get up. Let him get up. Jumping one guy with the homies is a rite of passage. But in execution, it just seems like one of many things that'll kill the game sooner rather than later. It's been out for just 3 months and the PC community is already non-existent. I know Steam player counts don't account for console players, but there isn't any crossplay, so whatever platform you're on is the only player base that you can match with. Needing a minimum of 4 players to get a single match going is not conducive to the longevity of the game. Not that there's much content here to keep people playing. It's the same story with every IP
some new characters, I
get
guess.
their hands on. The last 2 Shonen Jump crossover titles released
he's gonna start Jump Force too.
after 2010, so of course they had to be arena fighters. We've had far less ambitious but also far more creative crossover games in the past, but nothing like that would be made today. In the late 2000s, we had a ton of games in that Clash of Ninja 3D fighter style. Some were even made by that same developer.
I didn't know this.
But none of them would live to see the next decade. We stopped getting different flavors of anime games because Bandai Namco keeps using the same damn ingredients. We never even got to a point where there were too many cooks in the kitchen. There's only one cook, and his ass is not cooking.
The fact that there has to be like a stellar One Piece game that people are talking about is crazy because One Piece is popular. Like, I think the most popular game is the Pirate Warriors, but you don't hear a lot of people talking about like the Naruto Clash of Ninjas or Storm or the Dragon Ball Tenkaichi Budokai Xenoverse Fighters. It's not that popular, and it should be for One Piece games. It's just like, wow. And they made like a open world One Piece game too, but that was trash. I think it was not Odyssey, it was World Seeker, I think. I was like, ooh, what is this? Ew. Ew. Like, they're not, put some budget into it. I don't know, like, man, you should be making bank. You know how crazy, you know how many anime fans would instantly buy a game that's like with some care into it. I mean, shoot, they're buying games that are trash right now. If you just put some more care into these games, you will have way more money. But alas, they don't care. They just want a cheap buck.
When there were too many cooks in the kitchen. There's only one cook, and his ass is not cooking. Licensed games are not something that Bandai is willing to take any unnecessary risk on.
They
Toei
should.
didn't just publish Naruto games on the GameCube, but for the Nintendo handhelds as well. They put out a series of side-scrolling beat-em-ups and turn-based RPGs for the GameCube and DS respectively. Bandai also released games for Sony's handheld, except rather than creating something entirely new, they just put out scaled-down versions of the Ultimate Ninja games for the PSP. And my dumbass bought every single one.
That's crazy.
Bandai had one other Naruto game for PSP, and my dumbass bought every single one.
Didn't even have an own outfit on. Oh wow. Okay, he a gamer. He a Naruto gamer for real. I never had the heroes. I didn't even know there's a heroes thing. Legends? What are these? I never heard of these games at all until today. Oh, because they're PSP. That's why. Never
Bandai
had
had one other Naruto game series, but that got axed the moment Ultimate Ninja proved to be the more profitable formula. And as the famous saying goes, if it ain't broke, milk it dry. The thing is, I'm not even of the mind that arena fighters have to be bad.
That was a bad. You should block that.
Neither is Bandai Namco.
The Gundam. Oh, they own Gundam? Or they can make games for Gundam? Okay.
Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme Versus is for all intents and purposes an arena fighter. It's
wait a minute.
immediately evident that this game passes the low bar of quality set by most anime slop. Unlike those games, Bandai's favorite multi-billion-dollar cash cow gets an arena fighter developed internally by their own studio. It's always funny scrolling through their catalog and seeing the immense shift in quality between their first and third-party titles. Tekken 8, I don't mean to alarm you, but you are currently surrounded by some bum-ass niggas. The development
Whoa. Was that Armor Core he said not you too?
But you are currently surrounded by some bum-ass...
Yep. I'm not gonna say yep, but Sword Art Online, I mean, not really a yep, but I mean, maybe. Armor Core, yep. Yeah, the From Software is under Bandai, I believe. Yeah. That's different. They're not even part of Bandai. They're their own thing. I don't care. Whenever I see a From Software, whenever I see like a Dark Souls or a Sekiro or a Bloodborne, Elden Ring, I don't think, oh, Bandai. I think, oh, From Software. They're their own thing. I never associate Bandai with them for whatever reason. I'm just like, nah, Bandai does anime. You are From Software. You are your own own tier, your own category.
Tekken 8, I don't mean to alarm you, but you are currently surrounded by some bum-ass niggas. The development approach for licensed titles is fundamentally different. Major fighting games have notable names attached to them and are led by these well-known eccentric personalities. Tekken has Katsuhiro Harada. Guilty Gear has Daisuke Ishiwatani.
Did they have Guilty Gear too?
DOA had Tomonobu Itagaki. Now, who led development on Cursed Clash? Jump Force?
Spike Lee?
How about Xenoverse? Licensed games simply aren't given the same amount of money, time, or attention as their flagship series and are typically delegated to a third party with nothing impressive in their portfolio. And look, I'm not saying that every anime game needs to be directed by some well-respected auteur. Alright, I don't need Spy Family from the mind of Hideo Kojima.
Yes, I do.
Actually, let me cook. The way these games are handled is not too different from how licensed games are made in the West. Companies like Activision, who've published hundreds of games, assign these kinds of projects to subsidiaries so they can focus on more important
he's toxic.
like
Homelander
Call of Duty 19, Modern Warfare 2, 2022. Studios that don't have much to their name, aside from mediocre movie tie-ins and assisting their corporate overlords with those major titles. The opportunity cost of diverting resources from the big moneymakers simply isn't favorable. Smaller studios let publishers push out these low-quality games while mitigating risk to themselves, as most of the risk falls on those at the bottom of the totem pole.
Don't show him in my anime. Get him off my screen. Get Bobby Kotick off my screen.
While mitigating risk to themselves, as most of the risk falls on those at the bottom of the totem pole. Publishers aren't in danger of losing much more than the money they put into the project, whereas the developers need to worry about potentially shutting their doors following a flop. Though, as we've seen with recent closures, simply making a good game isn't always enough to take them off the chopping block. Rash Entertainment and THQ are two now defunct
THQ, my SmackDown vs. Raw, Here Comes the Pain, Wrestling Games, Bars by the Way, I'm insane. Rash and Entertainment, I don't think I heard of them before. Maybe I played a game from them before in the past.
Companies that primarily produce licensed games. Both would try to shift their focus to original projects in the late 2000s, but would end up filing for bankruptcy in 2008 and 2013 respectively, and shutting down the doors of many smaller studios. No publisher wants to be reliant on the success of licensed games. Viking, the studio that developed Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash, is a subsidiary of Square Enix. They have just roughly 120 employees, which may seem like a lot, but those are rookie numbers in this industry.
Yeah,
their catalog
like
consists of primarily arcade games developed for Square and arena fight industry. Their catalog consists of primarily arcade games developed for Square and arena fighters for Bandai. But when self-publishing, this is the kind of game that they develop. They have a few.
What was that? Nah, that's the game they made by them, like they published by themselves or something like that. Hold on, no, let me hear what he said again. Nah.
Fighters for Bandai, but when self-publishing, this is the kind of game that they develop.
Wow, that is such a huge self-publishes. Okay, all right, no comment. Maybe it's a fire game. Maybe it's a fire game. Who knows? You know, I'm not gonna say anything. It could be fire. I can't judge them off 5 seconds alone.
They have a few games under their Viking Rookies brand, which is a part of a game jam held for new employees where they're given 1 month to develop a game. All of these games were released for free on Steam, and I tried each one. And while they definitely have some rough edges, and of course none of them are complete, there are some interesting ideas here.
Okay.
Creativity that's noticeably missing from their Bamco published titles. The founder and CEO of Viking got his start as a game designer at Capcom. He wanted to work for the company that made his favorite game, Street Fighter II. He has a deep passion for fighting games and would go on to work as a designer on Darkstalkers, JoJo's Heritage for the Future, and Street Fighter III.
Okay.
He was the one to introduce super cancels to the series, a mechanic that's ubiquitous throughout fighting games today. But you wouldn't guess any of that from playing their licensed games. I'm gonna make a wild assumption and say that these games are not passion projects. If it was up to Viking, arena fighters, copious amounts of DLC, and live service anime battle royale is not what they would be working on.
Oh, you know, it's always probably the higher ups like, we need more money. And the developers like, do we have to? Like, you better. And when the game flops, the publisher's like, well, it's not our fault. It's you guys' fault. You should have made the game better. But we did what you told us to do. I'm glad I don't work in the game industry. I'm glad.
When you take a small
I'm glad I switched my major in college
to a mediocre anime game sweatshop, what do you think is going to happen when you hand them a new IP? Arc System Works is an example of a company that could have gone in a similar direction, but managed to carve out their own identity. They started out developing console ports of arcade games for publishers like Bandai, Namco, and Sega. Just like with Dragon Ball, their anime games emulated the style of those popular arcade games, so they wouldn't make a fighting game until Street Fighter II started the wave in '91. Arc System Works then dropped their first 2D fighter, Sailor Moon S, in '94. They would start self-publishing the very next year and release Guilty Gear in '98. Over the next few years, fighting games became their bread and butter. They maintained a working relationship with Bandai, but they never shifted focus away from their flagship series. In other words, they know who they are. So when Dragon Ball FighterZ was announced in 2017, fans knew they'd be eating good. Seeing DBZ use a traditional fighter in the Arc System Works iconic 2.5D anime art style was an unexpected breath of fresh air. ArcSys has their own formula, and it's a damn good one that we don't get to see applied to too many properties. A lot of people share the sentiment that Bandai should just let them handle every anime game, so we can get Naruto fighters.
They've been one Naruto fighters. I don't think they should have every single anime game. I know he's just over exaggerating, but some games I think work in the 2D setting. Some games I think might need that 3D feel. Some games don't make a fighter at all. Make it something else like an RPG or turn-based action game. I don't know. Hack and slash. Hey, listen, there's many routes we can go to besides fighting games that these companies just don't see. They just don't see it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Sentiment that Bandai should just let them
because it'd be
handle
easier to
every
make a
anime
fighting
game,
yeah, that's why.
so we can get Naruto fighters, One Piece fighters, etc. But I don't think that's a great solution. Anime will just shift from being nothing but arena fighters to being nothing but 2D fighters, which, admittedly, is a genre that I like a hell of a lot more, but seeing the same thing repeatedly will get dry eventually. Also, something like DBFZ costs a lot more to produce than an arena fighter.
That's
During
true,
development of Kill la Kill If, ArcSys considered making it 2D, but that would have been far too expensive, and even they decided on the classic anime arena approach. Additionally, the FGC and fighting games in general are still pretty niche. The only reason Bandai even considered a game like Fighters is because it's Dragon Ball. You can slap Goku's face on anything and it'll sell like crazy.
Yes.
Shit, I mean, Mexicans do it all the time. No other anime has
like
the brand
store
recognition
somewhere
of
too, a
DBZ,
restaurant.
so a traditional fighter becomes a much bigger risk. DBFZ sold well, but it still hasn't caught up to Storm 4. Even with Dragon Ball's notoriety, I'm sure that some anime fans saw the TODs and the 4-way mix-ups and said, nah, I'm good.
That's true, yeah.
To be successful, that's the audience these games need to tap into. ArcSys understands this and places a greater emphasis on simplified mechanics in several of their licensed fighters, something that a vocal minority of the FGC ain't too pleased about.
I don't know if that's the way it should go, because anime fans, I think, are more like casual instead of like, you know, the FGC. They want that 2D crazy combos trying to do. So I think arena fighters might be way better to go that route in terms of making money, because again, it's more casual. I mean, why not just have best of both worlds? I don't know.
Of their licensed fighters, something that a vocal minority of the FGC ain't too pleased about. Motion inputs and just frames are just one aspect from which games can have depth, not the end all be all. Alright? Chess doesn't need 720s and pretzel inputs to be complex. Depth can be derived in different ways. Arena fighters are shallow because the games are usually shallow, not because they're arena fighters. As much as I love to clown on Smash Bros, it perfectly exemplifies how a game can both be competitive and have immense casual appeal. The bar for picking up a character and just having fun with the game is on the floor. The controls are
Don't make it a platform fighter either.
And still have a good time.
Don't make these anime games platform fighters either, because usually any platform fighter that's not Smash fails. There's some exceptions like Rivals, maybe Rahala. I can't think of another one, but yeah, don't make an anime game a platform fighter. Please do not.
The game is on the floor.
It will not work.
The controls are stupid easy, and you can pick random and still have a good time. Those at the highest level are playing a completely different game that most players will never interact with, because the fundamentals are all you ever really need. Traditional fighters can still use that same approach without sacrificing depth. I can pick up a new character in Grand Blue and come up with a decent corner combo in a few minutes. Not because I'm cracked, even though I am, but because of how simple and how powerful it is to have a solid grasp of the universal mechanics. You can't even get a 2-hit combo in Street Fighter without knowing what links into what. If we don't want these games regulated...
That's not true. You can easily do it. What? No, that's not Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 6 is easier to do combos in. They got target combos. No, he's lying. Nah, liar. Liar.
A 2-hit combo in Street Fighter without knowing what links into what. If we don't want these games regulated to being Discord fighters in the first month, casual appeal is king.
Like
I ain't never seen a community simultaneously claim to want new people, yet gatekeep quite as hard as the FGC, though sometimes it's warranted. The upcoming Hunter x Hunter game seems to be making an effort to appeal to longtime fighting game players,
I just don't like
but
how it
still
looks
remain
right
accessible
now.
to anime fans. It's being developed by our boys over at A-Ting and is heavily inspired by their past work on TVC and MVC3. And by heavily inspired, I mean damn near copy and paste, because some of these animations are looking one for one. For the FGC,
I think we need to move Lonzo. That ain't no problem. Huh?
Ain't no problem.
A new game that plays.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. They need to update. This is way. First off, the roster is way too small. Second, the graphics, just up it a little bit more, because I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not a graphics man. Like, I'll play a game that has, not like the best graphics, but I'm like, all right, come on now. You can buff the graphics up a little bit more now than what I'm seeing here in this trailer. And yeah, you need to expand this roster by quite a bit more, because this is what, like 16 characters? 16? No, we need way more than 16 characters. Well, not way more, but this is a 3v3 fighter. We don't even have enough. It's not even enough. We're one over if we want to. Nah.
Plays like an all-time classic is more than welcome. In fact, after the disappointment of MVCI, people have been fiending for something just like that. Wait a minute, is that?
Foot dog!
This game, A-Ting chose to forgo motion inputs entirely to throw the non-FGC weebs a bone, but the reception from that side of the fandom hasn't been too great. See, this game is being made on a budget, and the visuals look kind of rough for a game dropping on the PS5. I'm talking
that's the thing.
PS2's greatest hits type.
It looks
While
rough.
MVC fans are likely to overlook the poor visuals for the gameplay, the callbacks to classic Capcom games don't really do much for somebody who's never played them. I don't foresee this game being the next DBFZ, not even close, but I'll still gladly take this over Hunter x Hunter Storm, because it's doing something different.
Don't be full price, don't be $70
that relative to other anime games. Shinobi Striker and DBZ Kakarot ain't really for me, but I applaud them for doing something unique,
They try
even
something,
if they're
yeah.
not the biggest departure from the usual. I'm not a One Piece fan, but Odyssey seems to be doing its own thing as well. I don't want arena fighters to disappear. I'm hyped for Sparking Zero.
Yeah, we all
I just
hyped.
don't want only arena fighters. I would like to
feel you
see
there.
more games like DBFZ, but also I don't want just DBFZ style games.
You need that
I
budget,
don't
though,
expect
for the
anybody to
fighters, or-
reinvent the
yeah.
wheel. Every single game borrows from what came before. I just ask that they borrow from more than just their own formula, that they draw from a bigger pool of developers instead of always working with the usual suspects.
Facts.
Preferably
Facts.
established companies with their own flagship titles and unique style, not young studios that have barely found their footing. I'm not playing Bandai. Go easy on the young ones, my man. I want to see companies like Capcom and Square Enix take a stab at it. Both of them have in the past with JoJo's and Full Metal Alchemist respectively.
Wait a minute,
Let's
Full
see a
Metal Alchemist
Chainsaw
game?
Man game that plays like Devil May Cry.
That's what I'm saying,
Let
hack and slash
Square's
games do
Team
work.
Asano make a Dragon Ball turn-based RPG. Let's see a... You know what? I'm not even gonna say it.
Say the line, Bart.
Say what?
Berserk Dark Souls.
That might actually go crazy. Wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute. That might go crazy. Berserk Dark Souls, that might go crazy because voice crack. Elden Ring, I think other games too, but Elden Ring from Software Games, they have the gut sword. It's in there. That's like, nah, that's the gut sword. Maybe in the future, From Software might do if they get the rights. I mean, they should. Bandai probably owns Berserker. Like, I think there's a way. I think there's a way to do a Berserk Dark Souls type game. That'd be wild though. It wouldn't be like a RPG probably like Sekiro where it's like you just level up because your guts. You don't have to make a new character or put points into your thing. It's guts. I don't know. We'll see.
I want to see less games, less frequently, that have had more time to cook. And Bandai
Yes, facts,
Namco
100%.
seems to agree with me on that. Earlier this year, they made an announcement that they've canceled several games and would be focusing on quality control going forward.
Yes,
which is a
do
wild
that.
ass statement.
Do
as it
that.
implies that quality wasn't a priority before.
Yep.
Namco made this
Obviously, we
decision
could
after
tell.
their financial underperformance in the final quarter of 2023. They saw a 96.5% drop in income
Dang.
when compared to the same period the year prior. They do acknowledge that the drop was somewhat expected due to the high bar set by Elden Ring's 2022 success, but hey, line must go up. I want to point out that just 2 weeks after this announcement, they added the Tekken shop to T8, so do it.
It's kind of funny because I just finished watching the Apex video that they like changed the battle pass in Apex Legends, so now there's 2 separate battle passes, but you gotta pay for both of them. You can't just. It's weird, but it's like these companies, they money hungry. It's not good.
Put that information what you will. Me, I just hope that this leads to more variety in their licensed games. It don't even gotta be good, just something different. At this point, I wouldn't even mind a new anime Mario Party knockoff.
Demon Slayer.
That could be fun.
Yep. I'm not going that far now. I'm not going that far. I don't want a Mario Party anime game.
I made a mistake.
I made a mistake. Yeah, I'm like, let's not go crazy now, Nasu. Let's not go too crazy now. Let's stick in the realms we are in. Let's stick in our comfort zone a little bit. Let's not go too crazy in uncharted territories. Leave the Mario Party games for the cartoon type of games. If they want to make a Cartoon Network. Not Nickelodeon anymore. A Cartoon Network, maybe Disney Channel type Mario Party game with beloved IPs. I'm down for that. I might get that because these fighting games, it ain't working. Look at Multiverses. It's kind of wobbly a little bit. No, but yeah. Let me play it out real quick. Get the ads. Alright, cool. Like you said, not every game should be a 2D fighter like Fighters. But we do need some variety for like the anime game scene because for the most part, if you're not Naruto, One Piece, or Dragon Ball, because they branch off a little bit differently. They branch off because they have RPGs, turn bases. But the other anime games, they're all like the same 3D arena fighter, simple combos for the most part, most of them. And they're always like lacking substance. I guess My Hero is the only one that's like a little bit different because it's a battle royale, which I'm not touching. Hack and slash games would be dope. We need more hack and slash games out there. Turn-based. Let's go around to the RPG games. Because I feel like they do that, but for like mainly on mobile games for whatever reason. Like, give it to us. Put it on the PC or the consoles. Don't go mobile. come here, come here. Because I feel like that would go crazy. But again, they would have to make the commitment and put the money into that, because making a RPG game or a 2D fighter probably costs way more money than making a 3D arena fighter, because those types of games are simple to make, the arena fighters. Don't be scared. We can't be getting scared here. Especially not One Piece, well, not One Piece, especially not like the popular animes are making like crazy amount of money, but they probably don't, I don't know. Like, for example, we didn't need a Jujutsu Kaisen game so soon. They didn't even adapt the second season, I don't think. No, wait, no, they did, but it's like, wait a little bit, jeez. Wait a little bit. Can we get a season 3 first, then make a game on it? A Full Metal Alchemist game, that would go crazy. It should not be a fighting game. I think that might make the most sense to make that a RPG type of game, or just like an action game at least. You know, the alchemy, like, come on now. That would go crazy. I think that might go crazy. Hopefully one day, like how EA lost the rights to FIFA, maybe Bandai might lose the rights to like certain anime IPs, so we can have other studios, companies work on anime games, like you said, Square Enix, not Capcom, he said somebody else, I forgot. I think we're slow. No, we're not. No, we're still in the same place as last time. It's getting a little bit better. It's getting a little bit better in the anime game scene. I'll say that at least. Bleach might be the make or break, because it's like, hey, Bleach, come on now. This is your time in like, what, 10 years, 20 years? I don't even know how long the last game was. You gotta be different. Don't be the same arena fire like the other ones. You gotta be different. Please. Please. And for the love of God, I think they're not gonna do it, but for your story mode, do not be a cutscene PowerPoint presentation. Don't do that. We need actual, movement in this animation in the story mode, in the cutscenes. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Let me stop yapping. So, hope you enjoyed my reaction, and thank you for watching. My cup of tea is out of here. Deuces, everybody. But no, like the Guts Dark Souls game, that would go crazy. That would go bananas. Because I know there is still a huge fan for Berserk out there just waiting because they can't get a good anime. Except for like the old one, but like they have something with that. They have something with that. That will go crazy. That will go crazy.